and welcome to another edition of The One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
I'm Kyle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
I'm good. That's good to hear. I mean, it's great to be back from LA
It is.
with a brand new episode.
We had a blast out in LA, and I finally recovered from lack of sleep because doing a red eye on Spirit is not very conducive to sleep. Um, yeah, that was brutal.
It was, but we got an awesome guest on today. Somebody that I met this summer at the Union Media Day game, had a great time getting to talk to him, listen to him. Actually, the first time we interacted was 2022. He did a Spaces during the LAFC away game, and I interacted on that, and it was had a fun time talking to everybody. But our guest today is the founder of Sporting Serotonin. He is one of the co-hosts from Views from the Bridge, former assistant referee for Hawkeye, and a mental health advocate. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Paul Catrino Jr. Paul, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it.
No problem. We had a fun time in that Spaces. That was a long time ago. I'm not even sure if you remember.
It has been a minute.
It has. I remember just sitting there. You guys are all talking. I'm just on there listening to you guys. And at the end, I think it was Morgan was on that Spaces. I'm like, hey guys, this has been great. She's like, why? We just talked. I'm like, it was great. It was a great time because it was just kind of watching the game. So
yeah.
Anyway, what are we wearing today, huh?
I am wearing my new Andre Blake goalkeeper kit that I got at the locker room sale.
Awesome. Oh wow. Is that the white, like, kind of geographic one?
It's like that gray and stuff. Yeah. And
sick.
it's got his name and number print on the back. So I figured, I mean, if I'm spending the money for the goalkeeper kit, may as well get the name and number on there too. It wasn't much more. It was kind of a Christmas gift to myself. And so yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Christmas gifts.
Yeah, my Christmas gift, the Live Breathe football.
So clean.
It is so clean. One of my favorite. I like the hoodie, but
I have the hoodie.
She has a hoodie, but I really like this top, and it fits so nice. So it's been now that and the JSP one with the back that wore last episode.
Yeah.
That's been my other one.
I have the navy blue version of that, basically where it has it on the back. But I'll tell you what, that hoodie though, I wore that all over like Disneyland, and like that was my go-to there, you know, but like it's quality stuff for sure.
Nice. Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Paul, what are you wearing any Union stuff today?
I wish you guys had told me.
Kyle,
I'm actually funny enough, I'm wearing what is it? Bootleg MLS made a Sporting Serotonin shirt for us.
Oh, nice. Oh, show that off.
The people on a lot of the OGs of the team just tried to fish a bunch of pictures out for them, but it came out great.
Nice.
And my cat is screaming at me. Excuse me, ma'am.
You got to show the cat.
Yeah, I gotta show the cat.
We're cat people
here.
Yeah,
we got.
Oh my gosh, your cat is. Oh my gosh, so fluffy.
This episode's already off to a great start. We got MLS bootleg, and we got a cat already. I mean, this is a winning episode already.
Yes.
He's living right in the middle of the city. It's just you never know what's gonna walk through that door.
Yeah,
I'm gonna kick this cat out in 2 seconds.
All right, no worries.
So before we continue, make sure that if you're not already, subscribe to us. Follow us on YouTube at The One Team We Agree On. We're also on Facebook and Instagram at The One Team We Agree On. And we're on Twitter at TOTWAG. And as I say that, our cat just kind of wandered in, and I think he'll behave. But one of our other cats, we always have to shut him out because he took down like all of our lighting and stuff the one time when we were recording with his tail. He walked through and his tail caught everything. So
it's like, sorry I existed. My God.
So Paula, for the listeners that maybe are hearing you for the first time, talk to us how you got into the Union.
Well, when I was in starting high school, the Sons of Ben first became a thing, and one of my coaches at the time, who works with FB Wonder Kids, Brenton Bonnet. If you don't know his content, he's very good. Works with a dude from Portugal, excellent stuff. But he kind of filled me in a bit on the scene, how it was growing there. But by the time the team came around, I was up in North Jersey, up at Montclair, and actually kind of playing soccer on the Red Bulls facility. So I was
Hmm.
like faintly seeing Henri and Wright Phillips, those guys playing. Was never a fan, but I was like, this is my exposure to MLS, like my
Right.
first real exposure to it. So when I eventually came home, my buddy Rob, who plays on Serotonin with me, he's like, come to a game. I was like, all right, you talked me into it. It was very hard. It wasn't. And it was a game against the Red Bull, and we won 3-0. I was like, this is excellent. This exists in my city. I need this. So just like coming up in my 20, like very early 20s, wrote it out the whole way. But I've been playing soccer since I was 4, and the concept of a Philadelphia soccer team has always just been like, great. What next? Like, keep going. Let's make it grow here. Let's make it, you know, really something worthwhile for the city. So I've always been in. Took me a couple years, but once I did get in, I was running.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how it's been for us. I mean, we got in late, but we'll be the first to admit it. I followed casually for a long time, but she got in 2019, and ever since then, our goal has been like, how can we around here get people to know that there's an MLS team named the Philadelphia Union around here, and that's been kind of one of our underlying missions is how can we connect people with the Union?
Yep. And the fan base in our area has been growing, which is great. So, and we had a local guy who ended up playing for them. That's kind of how I got into him. So Andrew Wenger.
Oh,
So,
fun.
yeah.
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 One of my first autographs, man. Was
Oh,
That's funny.
Wow.
walking through the Harris Casino at Chester, just being like, "What are you doing here?" It's like some of the guys come here afterwards, like, "Oh, cool,
Oh, well, funny.
healthy."
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know the story, I um babysat him and I coached him in swimming back in the day, like when I was in like high school. So yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's your connection. It's
Yeah.
funny how life
But
is.
no, when he made the union, I was like, oh, I like because he was in the papers and everything. I was like, oh, I started kind of following the team a bit then. So, but yeah, we didn't get to our first game till 2019. So
S-
okay.
So let's go and talk about your top 3 favorite Union moments. Like, it doesn't even have to be like an actual game. Just what are your top 3 favorite Union moments, right off the top of your head?
Union moments. I mean, the Glesnes winner, late late in the game in the playoffs a few years back. It's
Hmm.
excellent.
Mhm.
I had been working most of the season, but I was there as a fan with Rob, like with people I've been going to games to since the very beginning. And that had been like a few years since we've been there. And to see that kind of live and hugging like my guys who I play soccer with now. We didn't know that back then, but I was just like, we don't know when we're gonna get a moment like this again. So that was pretty cool. A more personal one is actually being at an Open Cup final, which was the one unfortunately against Sporting Kansas City.
Ooh.
I was so disappointed at the result of that game that it made me quit cigarettes. I had my last cigarette that night, and I ran out and I said, "You know what? Screw this." I was so angry. I was angry at anything. I needed another reason to be angry, and soccer enabled me to have that next decision be to not buy cigarettes anymore. So a little biased there, but I will take that one. Didn't make a major change in my life. Um, and I think actually having Andrew Wenger run the ball out of bounds, I was there at that game, um, was a really culmination of, man, we have soccer here, but we just haven't soccered here quite right yet. Like, that was
Mhm.
a real culmination moment of me and my friends looked at each other and went, "You want to go get a beer?" Yeah, all right. And we just the rest of the game was a wash. It was those are the ones on the top of my head for me personally.
Right, and it's funny because I think at the same media day, Matt, Ralph, and I afterwards sat there in the parking lot. I think it was Matt, Todd Lewis, and maybe Greg Oldfield. We all sat there for about oh my gosh, what was it, like an hour and a half, and that came up and then we all went back and watched the game just because we were all like, okay, was it really that bad of a game? And we all kind of walked away was like, oh, that was a bad moment. That really was a bad moment, but
Yeah.
he didn't play bad. It's just
No, not at all.
it was
I
just,
will always hold him in like relatively high regard here in Union World. Always a nice guy, a
Mhm.
consummate professional, but you know, it's like someone has to do it. Someone's
oh,
got
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was just always amazing now, like watching that game because like we had always heard, oh my gosh, you should hear this moment. And then it was like, okay, out of that moment, the context, yes, it's awful.
Mhm.
But his game wasn't bad. Let's talking of players, let's talk about we just talked about this in LA.
Yeah.
What are now no pressure, and you only have to give me your top three of we did top 10 from 2019 to current, your favorite or who you think the most impactful Union players are. Just three.
most impactful.
Yes, in this current age, 19 to current.
19 to current. I mean, Bedoya still counts for me.
Okay.
I was never one who loved how he played on the men's national team, and I said, "Why are these the MLS moves that we're making?" When I was
Mm.
younger, but then I understood a little bit more as I got older how the mental game can affect things, and I think Bedoya's mindset and ability to rally around one cause is really second to none from a leadership perspective. Whatever team ends up getting him, it's going to be real happy that they had someone affecting the vibes of that locker room because he knows how to do it well. And he's really grown on me. So I have to give credit where it's due. Um, I mean, nailing on the Andre Blake pick is just so crucial for this like team's anything because God knows we would just cycle through keepers if we really had to, and we've just never really had to. It's a blessing.
It is.
It
So
really is.
to have everyone not really sure why we did that, and then it became clear, like those couple years later, it's like, all right, excellent move, like well done. Can never kind of second guess when he's in a game. And it's tough. It's tough.
Mhm.
I think my thing is, I think Jose Martinez has been someone that, again, when they first came in, I was a little hesitant if the rough style of play would be too much for MLS. I know it can be physical, but not quite as physical as he always would want to be. Um, but it's the physicality with smart, like intelligence, with the personality to kind of rally not just teammates but fans as well. That's like the first time we've really dipped our toe into someone who engages the whole Union community like that. He's willing to be in media spots. He's willing to do anything like put a silly hat on him and have him run around the stadium. He'll do it. Or like, take out Messi. Yeah, I'll do it. Like it's just, and he'll do it. He'll get up and he'll bark and then he'll turn around, look you in the eye, and go, "Yeah, yeah, that's me, man. That's me." Just you gotta sit there and applaud because he is one of the best at what he does. So
He is.
He is. There's a
yeah,
reason why he's a fan favorite, you know?
And I said it on the episode, and I will always say I had him, I believe, in my top three or top four. But I said the whole defensive spine changed when he came into form for the Union. I think he was one of the key pieces. I mean, they were good, but his addition kind of took it to the next level, in my opinion. Just the whole package with the defense. Because you see it when he's not out there,
Oh,
too.
his absence is really felt when he's not there.
and
For
the
sure.
thing is, if they actually put a facilitator next to him as a shuttler who can really distribute, all you have to do is leave him behind to lurk. Let him lurk. he'll like any attacking midfielder that comes into his range, he can just be a shadow. And it's so difficult to be able to make any kind of turn around him. I really don't care how good you are, because he will just like make you run into his leg, and sometimes they won't call that. So
Uh,
So we mentioned a lot about our first union experience back in 2019 versus Atlanta and how it changed our lives. Well, how has the union impact or changed your life? And also talk about, how Views from the Bridge became a podcast.
well, I mean, Views from the Bridge only came about because I found a Philly soccer community. Um, it wasn't something that was prominent in my life going through high school, as opposed from I want to be a really good soccer player to after a few years being away and then coming back, it was like, oh, there's a lot of like really cool, interesting people that follow this game here. So I'm like, I just kind of want to see who's there, what's going on. Like, are there potential friends here? I was ready to kind of open up that avenue for myself, because the last few years had been me and up in like New York City, and I don't want to go back there. Oh man, living in New York City stinks. It just does. If you do and you've lived there your whole life, I'm sorry, it's not for me. So when I came back and found this community, I was like, all right, like what can I like do, to kind of, get involved. Was in the Sons of Ben for a bit. Then I started doing coverage for, different websites and creating video content, and then, helping design the jerseys now for the past 3 years on the committee, to working for Hawkeye doing the VAR reviews for MLS, like, and just kind of trying dipping my toes in whatever I can. And it's been really fulfilling, and hopefully can kind of help me with being a well-rounded person in the soccer world for years to come, because I feel like I found a home here. There's a lot of really good people out there, and when you think about Philly sports, that's not necessarily the first thing that pops into your head, is like that communal, warm family feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've definitely found such a good community, and it just like I've missed it since we haven't been going to games lately. Like that was our like social life, and we've made so many good friends through the union.
and it's interesting, Paul, you talk about that communal. Every guest that we've had on has said that exact same thing. That's been like the overarching, like, if you would say, of our podcast, has been that community. And it's been just really awesome to hear that. Like, even people in media. I mean, Kevin Kincaid touched on it. And he
Yeah.
would, so I think that's something special, because, and like Jeff Mitchell even said, like, you're not going to go to the Eagles game. And he goes, I love going to Phillies, but there's that community here at the Union that you're not going to see at any other, pro team, really.
And it's like the union media circuit. It's like there's such a lack of internal competition. Like, we do the same thing. We do podcasts.
Yeah.
We talk about the team, right?
Mhm.
Everyone like prop up everyone's going for the same goal, man. Like, let's everyone succeed. We're doing
that's
the
cool.
thing we love, man. It's awesome.
And that's the other thing we talk about too. Everybody, a lot of people are collaborating together. You don't see that. Like, I'm a Dolphins fan. And she'll tell you, Dolphins YouTube community. It's like bloodbath.
That
It's
tells
a
me how ugly it is.
bloodbath.
I mean, everyone knows
There's like
the
Twitter
Eagles,
spaces,
they
like
can get pretty ugly with Eagles games, especially when we lose. But it like the things I hear from him about the Dolphins.
I'll tell you a story when we're done recording that just it'll blow your mind. I've told a whole bunch of people in Media Row about like people in press. It's wild, but yeah, I mean, and I think that's a really cool thing. Again, just the community, everybody working together to kind of make this something, and bigger, and continue to grow and expand within the Union community, Philadelphia community. So, let's shift focus real quick to Sporting Serotonin. You're the founder. I have to be honest, I love the message on one kit that mental health matters. So, and I think it was Justin I told, I love the kit concepts half the time. I see them all, like you guys posting them. They're amazing. What kind of got you to form the club? And then as a follow-up, what lessons did you learn? And I believe you and I talked a little bit about this, but share for the listeners kind of lessons you learned along the way.
Yeah, so I mean, the concept of forming a club was based kind of solely on the notion that I wasn't finding that real camaraderie in soccer that I know can exist. I think when you look at adult league soccer, that none of us are going pro, man. Don't think it's really, I don't think it's happening, but I don't like going to the gym. It's more than twice a week, if that at all. So it's just not in the cards for me. But what else can we gain from soccer? We can gain a reason to wake up at 9 a.m. and see our friends for 3 hours and then go to the bar afterwards and decompress. Like, there's a lot of real advantages to be gained from competing in team sports. And I just really didn't want there to be the pressure of having to achieve some like status or goal or thing that was on the field related. I wanted people to come out who felt like they could gain something from being in a team environment and having the positive aspects of pressure be applicable all the time. And if you don't succeed in those, it's kind of just on to the next one. Like, it's a goldfish mentality. I mean, and when they said it in Ted Lasso with being a goldfish, it's like,
Yes.
yeah, no, it's literally like just wiping the slate, kind of like, I like just do this in front of yourself, and it's a new time, it's a new way to just go forward. But in speaking with my friend Justin Fisher, we kind of started laying the groundwork for coming up with a team that was made up of guys that we knew didn't want to, trophy hunt. And, it's like, I need to start and I need to play this position. And, you guys aren't training hard enough. There was just none of that. It started out as like 10 dudes playing 7v7. And now we're up to like 40 people across 3 different teams with hopeful potential to expand to some other cities in the coming year, which we're really excited about. Just had our board meeting and we're looking pretty positive for that growth.
That's
but
awesome.
Yeah, and when the things that I really have learned from it is that even in these high pressure situations where, I get shoved to the ground and, people are raising their voice and I'm just looking up, I'm like, it's like, you good? It's, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? It's a lot of the times I bait people into yellow cards, which is part of my dark arts in my playing style, because I'll ask a guy what shampoo he uses when I'm playing center back on him. And I'm just like, it's a distinct lavender smell. And I'm just like, I really have been like fucking with lavender a lot recently. And he's just like, dude, shut up. Like, I'm sorry. I won't ask it anymore. And we're just standing here. We're not doing anything. They're not passing you the ball. And it just, those little things throughout the game, like that, those are my dark arts as a center back, but it's never any malice. I'm never hurting anyone.
No.
I'm never clipping ankles and shoving people down. Like, it's just, it's adult league soccer, man. I'm gonna shake your hand after the game and ask if you want a beer afterwards. It's cool. It's on us, man. Like, we're all in this Philly community together, and just, we can take ourselves seriously in regards to like the message of our club and the reason why we play. When it comes on the field, man, we've lost 3 straight promotion finals in Casa like the past couple years, and our post-game parties just keep getting bigger. Like, people are celebrating for hours afterwards just because they get to be a part of it. And I'm like, that's a win. I'm sitting there looking at this going, we keep winning. And it's excellent to have like that mindset be the driving force behind a soccer club.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I had to ask you about your kits because you have some of the best kits I've seen. What would you say, maybe just off the top of your head, your favorite three? I like three, so.
Oh man. I thought it would be honestly, I thought it would be a couple like years before I was asked this because every no, to be absolutely every time we come up with one, to start, it was a lot of it was me communicating with Icarus and kind of
Mhm.
a certain vision. But last few have been a communal effort. Like we ask guys on the team, "Do you want to like help with designing the kit?" And they're like, "You want my help?" It's like, "Do you want to help?" Is the question I asked you, and they're like jumping in and they're like throwing out the ideas. It's like, no, that's solid. Like let's try it. Like very experimental, very open forum. And we have a couple more just kind of planned for down the road some with some changes here and there. Um, but there's been like quite a few of them that have just been like like kind of fan inspired. Like our partnership with Dungeons and Drafts kit
I
is
saw that.
so it's so good,
It
so
is.
like
It is.
subtle and sexy. It's very excellent. I do have a soft spot for that as well as a nerd. It really does just looking closely at it in different spots. That's wild. It's wild. It's on a soccer shirt, and it's kind of like our team. That's very cool. So I'll take that at 3. I'll take that at 3 for sure. The purple city vibe kits were a personal like passion project in regards to like seeing the style on like some of the Minero kits and some Spanish kits. Joe Guthrie on our team like has the tan one that has the nice map look on it. And I was excited. I bought the vector image and the rights to like that cutout image of Philadelphia and like part of Camden County too, which is where I'm from. And it was like tweaking it. Purple was never going to be the color. It was just like a fifth option we threw in there. And it was like, I throw it to a vote because we have some really good looking like orange, light blue, black. Like we have all these nice, cool colors. And everyone picked purple. I was like, uh, okay, I guess we're going with purple. Uh, and I was like, are we sure? And once we got the final mock of it, I was like, this is perfect. I love it. It's so regal. If we have to have this be like a third alternate color, so be
Right.
it. Let it be royal. Let it be purple.
I love purple on a
Same.
kit. I'm a big
Yeah.
purple and I'm a big green guy too. I like green. If it has black. Now, if it has to match, like there has to be like that color combo, but
Yeah, and like our green kit is very nice. It was one of the
Mhm.
Icarus kits, Icarus Cup kits from the, I believe, second year of its iteration. That we kind of just tweaked a little bit of the piping in the neck, added a
Mhm.
bit of our flair with the mental health matters and the suicide hotline on the
Right.
sleeve
Mhm.
to kind of just make it feel a little more like a kit itself. But it cannot take the number one spot. It can't take the hexagon kit away.
Right.
It was something that kind of just that was the first one that I got back when this was all very like not hypothetical, theoretical. And I like saw it and it's like there's nothing like this. There's just nothing. This is so bold. This is if I could put this on a union kit, I would and give it to the world. So like instead, I'm just gonna do it for this team now. Like this is now. It almost made me feel like I had a special like interest to carry this through because once I sent it to the group, they're like, I need one now. Like I need one now. Like yeah, so it's the home kit, right? And they're like, yes, it has to be the home kit. Like,
Nice.
yeah, we got it.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys have awesome kids though. I definitely, Kyle tell you I'm a fan of of good kids. I like to rate them and I can't wait to rate the new ones coming out for MLS too, right, Kyle?
Yes.
Did
Yes.
you rate the serotonin ones? Is that why you asked? You were
No.
looking at
No,
each other.
No, but we should.
No,
But we
but we should. That hey, there is a future episode.
Yes,
Or
there
maybe
we
we
go.
just have like you bring all the kits and we'll just sit there live at the tailgate. Just be all right, this one.
Okay, fair.
Yes.
Yeah. No, no, I have actually gone on the website and looked at some of the kits, and I'm just sitting there going, that's sharp, that's
Nice.
sharp, that's sharp. And like I enjoy looking at your guys' kits. They're phenomenal.
Yes. So you talked with
Yeah.
Kyle during media day about mental health with regards to players. Can you discuss your thoughts and ideas on how to better help players and families with mental health?
In regards to like athletes in particular,
Yep.
and in a specific age group, or because I think the approach is a lot different when
For
it's
sure.
uh, kids and teenagers versus college students and adults. They kind of find themselves
Yeah,
split right there.
it was more the conversation. We had that long, what was it, 15, 20-minute conversation about
Yeah.
college kids and adults and just kind of your approach to it. And I found it utterly fascinating.
Yeah, I think like my experiences with serotonin so far have been in regards to kind of working with players at that collegiate and adult level. And I think there's a lot of stigma breaking that
Right.
has to kind of take place to acquire that level of trust that we have, like with
Mhm.
our guys. Our guys really do feel like anyone on the team could have any level of conversation with them because there's very much an openness of, I had a really bad week, guys. I cannot make it tomorrow. Like I truly just I will not even try to pull myself out of bed. And it's no like, dude, we need you. What the hell? It's everyone is like, nah, we got you, man. Like, don't even worry about it. It's like, we got someone. You're good. Take the time you need and call us afterwards. That like sigh of relief for you as a person who like hates to cancel on plans, that doesn't always exist when it comes to like soccer organizations and team sports. There's a lot of like, you need to be there. You need to be there no matter what. You
Mhm.
need to. I was like, no, man, like this is here for you. It's like, we need you to succeed. But like, you don't need, like, you don't have to feel like you need us if you don't need to. It's it's tough because like that age from 18 below, like working through high school, there's kind of no real like way to dodge those responsibilities in regards to showing up and putting your all in. Like there's pressure for sure,
Right.
Mhm.
and there's no real way to like kind of avoid it if you're not creative. When you're an adult and you go to college and you think like this is either going to be your future or you're going to think what has been, there is like the option of you could just pursue this in some capacity as something that's healthy for you, that's something you enjoy doing with other people, and then committing your craft to like your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. Like doesn't have to end with you being a pro soccer player. It can lead with you being a really good soccer player and being like a leader on a team maybe one day that like helps other people grow to be good soccer players and good people. Like there's that connection that I'm really trying to make with breaking down the success is only measured in these wins and losses, and I didn't play well or I didn't run fast enough. It's like you can always try again, man. You can. You're never gonna hear me like yelling a guy out because he didn't do well enough or that he's not performing as well as he should be.
Mhm.
Because in those moments you can be met with anger and hostility, and it can change your approach to talking to people for a long
Absolutely.
time. It really
Mhm.
only takes one moment to really instill that kind of trauma.
It
Uh,
really does. It really, really does. And I think we see it as coaches sometimes in our sport, swimming. Just that, that do we always like to say do or do not. There is no try, but at the same time, there's that relationship and there's that awareness of sometimes the kid just doesn't have it. They got a million things going on in their
Mhm.
life right now, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You still want to have that level of excellence, but sometimes don't you feel we like in the top level, it's just like, well, you're not strong enough mentally, and I don't get that. It's everybody's gonna have their
Mhm.
weaknesses, their weekdays, and that's okay. But it's just the understanding the relationships and being like, hey, you're cool, man, and you got this. Do what you can today, and you'll be better tomorrow. You know, the sun always shines, like we like to say.
Mhm.
There's also people who are just strong mentally at some
Hmm.
things and are not like catered or like used to being strong mentally in other things. And
Right?
even
Mhm.
if there is longevity there, that doesn't automatically mean that there's comfort there as well.
Mm-mm.
There
Mhm.
could always be resistance. It can always be, you know, kind of veiled. And I think that comes in regards to parents asking very specific questions with their kids about how their activities are going, what's going right, what's going wrong. Like those are kind of the open conversations that don't feel as intrusive. It's kind of just think about it from an outside perspective. Like what when you're looking at this situation, what's going good about it for this person, which is yourself.
Hmm.
And if, after a few times you could brush it off and say it's stupid, and sometimes you grow and it's like, all right, well, objectively, I don't like any of the people that are on this team, but I think I like the sport. Um, and that's really tough for me because I don't feel welcome here.
Hmm.
That open like that can open up a whole conversation as opposed to like things are fine, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do like that mental health awareness. I mean, it's just becoming so much more widespread. I mean, you look at like Lane Johnson, for instance,
Mhm.
Mhm.
what he's brought to that. And I think what you're doing here, this is phenomenal. And um, it's too often been brushed off, it's like, oh, just toughen up, or whatever. And like we're saying, just like, oh, suck it up, show up, make sure you're there, whatever. But
Mhm.
yeah, like I think it's important talking about it.
Yeah, and you brought up a very good point because when I deal with athletes and just people in general,
Mhm.
there are people that are very mentally strong in certain corners of their mind. They can take this and they can react to certain, you know, discussions, actions, those kind of things. But then for whatever reason, there maybe be a part of that where something just triggers them and they're not themselves anymore. So I think, you kind of hit the nail on the head. We got to define what mental toughness, mental performance is because there's so many different layers and everybody's unique
Mhm.
and not one all box fits all when dealing with humans. So, I guess one of the follow up to this is where do you feel as like with you anyway, where you've seen the most progress with dealing with certain mental health issues? Like where are you seeing the most progress being made in your opinion, and where do you think maybe we still got some ways to go there? Because I know we talked a little bit about that.
I mean, I can only really speak from the
Right.
progress that I've personally seen at this
Correct.
level. I've seen really bad. A reason that this team exists in the first place is because I played on bad. I played on toxic. I played on, you
Yeah.
know, you got to be at training twice a week. I'm like, I don't even know who you are, person reaching out to me in a group chat. Like,
Mhm.
no, I
Right.
refuse. Um, so like seeing that side of things is that there is a very large contingency of club sports that is really just driven on we must compete for this title.
Mhm.
And that is the end goal. Everything
Hmm.
that you do from this moment to the end of the championship game when the final whistle blows, all of that growth that you have is leading up to this one game. No, it is not.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
it simply isn't. Like you can attain so much growth from a season of soccer that can resonate on the field. It can resonate with your health off the field, and it can like work with your head too and your mood, all of it. And achieving those goals there is not just all for one game. It's for you to be able to work better in life, to kind of be able to um, handle things better in that perspective. Because if you can handle them in high pressure situations, you can probably be able to handle it outside when you're, a little calmer and you can remember what you did to get through that in the first place. So
Right.
like the coping
Mm-hmm.
mechanisms gained through there, I think are a little bit better. You see guys who are kind of less dejected after losses and kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that guy was just faster than me. What am I gonna do? I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what are you gonna do? That guy was so
Mm-hmm.
fast. It's, it's just like, come in. You killed it today, man. Did what you could. And
Yep.
it's just that's kind of how like rounding out those goals and growth to not summating to one like championship that says it lasts forever, but does it? Like
No.
does
Mm-hmm.
that outweigh what genuine growth in your life can be if you work at team sports as something that's good for you as a person instead of good for the only the 23 people on your squad that are competing?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm always also a big believer in the journey being bigger than just you hear that you're not only just one game, one race, one whatever, that there's also value in failure too, that overcoming and achieving too. Like you can't fail. Oh, how dare you lost that race? You're bad, how dare you failed at this? No, I mean, you learn, it stinks,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
you
I tell
pick
some of my swimmers
yourself
all the
up.
time. Yeah.
You pick
Yeah.
yourself up, you have to.
Oh, yeah.
And it's okay to be upset and say, "Hey, you know what? I failed, I'm bad." But I sometimes say to my kids, like, "What did you learn?"
Exactly. That's what
You
I
know
say.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or it's gonna be okay. It was just one race. It's not the end of the world.
Oh, yeah.
What's important is you learn.
Yeah, we deal with it all the time in swimming. Yeah, a kid will get out of the pool and they're like all upset and they're like, that was terrible. Well, I'm like, what did we learn from this though?
Mhm.
Exactly, And so yeah, we encounter, I mean, that's
And we'll see coaches
oh yeah.
on the other side of the pool deck, and I'm sure you see this as well, where kid gets beat by another kid that shouldn't beat, and we're like, like I saw a lot this weekend at swim meet, and I'm just like, it happens, let's move on, learn, and go. And then I saw another coach right down there screaming at this kid, "I told you to do this. I told you to do this. Why
Mm,
didn't you do this? We worked on this all week." Now, maybe they did, but still, just the ferocity of
mm.
an 11-year-old kid getting chewed out. Wasn't a college kid,
Yeah.
but even
Yeah.
still, there's that need to be aware of like, yo, let's bring it down a little bit and realize that there's a bigger picture. There's a long play here to development. So
Yeah.
I'm glad and I'm glad you were able to share that because I think we still have some ways to go on certain things and perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there has been a lot of growth at the adult level a little
Hmm.
bit. I know that's kind of the harder one to break through. Like I think
Right.
kids
Mhm.
kind of really only need that one moment that can really sit with them that is like I would never want this to happen in a
Right.
game that I
Yeah.
love ever. That's I was victim of it, in my mid-20s when I was playing, and I was like, "This is just the worst, man." It's like
Right.
to
Yeah.
have all this bad energy out here on this field. It's just like this isn't why I do this. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that this has been able to be an outlet for more than just myself, but other like really good people on this club, and I'm really looking forward to the future ahead.
Awesome. We yeah, we're excited to continue following that and seeing, that progress. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, so switching gears a little bit. Last year you were assistant referee for Hawkeye. Can you touch on your experience being an assistant referee and what you took away from it?
Yeah, so it's technically referee's assistant or
Okay.
or review assistant
Review
kind of.
assistant.
I know. When I sent that over, I was like,
It's all good.
it's like not assistant referee. I am not working with the
Okay.
referees.
Yeah, that's
Do
Okay.
not yell at me if you see me at games at field side. It do not
Sorry.
affect the calls at all.
All right.
Which is funny because we have been me and myself and Zach Richmond, who's
Yeah.
also on our soccer team. He sits down at the Sons of Ben end, and he kind of gets a bit of the worst end of it. But we have no influence on any of the
Right.
calls. We get to hear the referees on a hot
Yep.
mic, what they're saying,
Mhm.
and it's kind of just going to the prep a review if it's going to be needed, like to be
Right.
there to kind of monitor the area, make sure the screen is working, and when he comes over that he's kind of secured, protected, all that stuff.
Mhm.
There's security there as well, but
Right.
Yeah.
it's a relatively simple gig, but it is a fascinating way of looking at the game because you get to see kind of how referees have these conversations of like, this guy is being such a jerk right now. Like, why is he doing this? Like, very candid conversations that
Mhm.
it can affect, like, up here in the head. It only takes like one thing to be like, oh, this guy's wild. All right. Honestly, like, I know he's only on 2 fouls, but if there's anything close to that on the next one, I'm carding him. Whereas another guy's like, he's had 4, but like they've really been like 50-50 challenges. He's not going in with malice. So it's like fine. It's like, yeah, but just a warning, like you're getting up there in the foul count. And a guy can go through a game and get 6 or 7 fouls and not get a card because
Right.
he's, not doing it a certain way or not poking a referee in the particular way that he likes to have his pocket poked to pull out a yellow card. It's
Mhm.
just how it is sometimes.
Yeah.
That's
Go ahead.
been bananas to kind of witness or kind of hear live watching a game.
Right. And like when we had talked one time, I guess up in the media area before the game, you were talking about VAR. And what have you learned about VAR before doing this that maybe something was like, oh wow, this is a lot different than like procedures or what you can discuss, of course, but what's something unique you found out about VAR?
Honestly, the candidness of the conversation,
Oh,
like it's
really?
very much, it's not as like polished or like very. I don't want to say professional. They are very professional at what they do. Uh,
Mhm.
they're having a conversation. Like it needs to be
Yeah.
like the communication needs to be like effective and clear. And it's like there are moments where it's like everyone stop talking for 5 seconds, real quick. So and so, what do you have? Like what is here? Like it's
That's
5 or
fast.
6 people like trying to work together to get this done
Mhm.
as quick as possible. And sometimes there's a language barrier too, because you get ESL
Mhm.
referees that it's like
Mhm.
Atlanta may not have as quick of a turnaround on it because he's English, but the 4 on the field are primarily Spanish. Uh, that's a thing that can hold things up. But you can see it now more often in media, like actually within the last year or so that you've been able to hear these referee
Mhm.
conversations, right? If you've gotten to dive into that media of
Mhm.
like, the Liverpool goal that shouldn't have been a goal. Like, you had one a couple days ago in AFCON, and
Right.
it's like hearing those conversations you're hearing that's like, oh, these are like, this could be my dad doing this, like making these calls and like, he's always worried about offside himself, no matter how many times he's seen it happen live. And one call as a referee is like, man, I really don't know if I got it. And it's like, we need to hold up play because I'm like, I don't have it. Like the referee's like very candidly, he's like, I don't know if I got it right or not. And it's like,
Right.
it's cool. We're gonna figure it out. Like we're gonna try to figure it out there. And that like level of pressure is something that I don't think a lot of people can feel because in that moment when you're holding that flag up, it's
Mhm.
Mhm.
all you. Like it's all you, everyone on the point of conversation in your ear. You're getting boos from outside your microphone.
Mhm.
Right.
And now you're getting, okay, what did you have? Who was it? What part of the body? What like
Mhm.
it's it like you invite the pressure to yourself It's sticking up a giant piece of metal in a lightning storm when you're a
Mhm.
referee.
That's a good
And I
analogy.
don't think that they get enough credit for being human beings.
Mhm.
That is one.
I don't think that that is well reciprocated among a lot of fans. That said, there needs to be accountability for egregious errors when they do happen, because
Mhm.
I mean, as simple as it is, accountability matters.
Right.
And
Mhm.
people who are willing to take it are willing to handle it more effectively, and the people who are upset about it are willing to walk away from it more gracefully. It's
Yeah.
just, it's all copacetic if there is universal accountability for any referee.
Yeah.
I
So
I I agree 100%. And we heard the VAR for at Cincinnati, right
Yeah.
after that, and it was
Mhm.
just fascinating just hearing these guys like, we need confirmed call. We need a confirmed call. And I'm sitting there looking down from the press box going, he was off, but then like I'm listening to what they're saying, why they can't overturn it, and I'm hearing the ref you saying, yo, we need to like go. Do we need to hold up play? What we need to do? And these guys are like, we only got one angle. Where's the other camera? We don't have a camera. And like, like just
Yeah.
listening, like we only have this angle right now. Do we have another? And just how like everybody, it almost seems like they're trying, you could hear they're trying to get the call right,
Yeah.
but there's just so emotion. So it was a very fascinating
when you
study.
look at athletes on the field and how fast their heartbeats are,
Yeah,
these guys are maybe right up there in terms of how like much pressure comes in those moments. Like they really do. And to be fair, I was sitting at a coffee shop during that Cincinnati game, and as composed as I am when I have to be on the sidelines for these games,
hmm
I was standing there going, "What is going on?" Because like I would be in on this conversation if I was at this game, and I would love some clarification right now because I don't understand why, with this one angle and no second phantom angle, that
right,
the original call stands if you have only for your frame of reference this one camera angle.
Mhm.
Those are conversations that they have, and I'm sitting there going, what are they doing? And then the game restarted. I went, oh no, like now they can't go back.
right,
Yeah.
right,
So
right.
it's one of those. I've never had one of those moments on the job, but I could only imagine how like bad that must be, and how afterwards there needs to be accountability for
Right.
if there
Mhm.
was a technical error, like they didn't have the camera feed because the truck wasn't set up right and the cable didn't run correctly and we just didn't have access to it. Explain, say that, say
Right.
that,
Yeah.
and we go, do better next time. You'll be mad for a
Exactly.
few weeks. They can replace a cable for $20 and we move
Mhm.
on.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I find that fascinating. But yeah, I've always like when I've talked to you and like I would talk to Todd and them, they'd be like, yeah, you do VAR and like all that. And so I was like, I gotta ask him about some of these, moments. And so that was a real fascinating discussion. Appreciate you sharing that.
I have one VAR story that
I was gonna
uh,
ask you if you don't
I
mind
have.
sharing.
Yeah, I do have one. It was the game when Messi came to town
hmm
in the
Mhm.
summer. Uh, it was on the goal Messi scored. The play before that was a missed shot by Miami, and
hmm
the ball landed in my hands pretty much. And the Miami goalkeeper was already, by the time the ball was in my hand, I looked up and the Miami keeper is standing there making eye contact with me, running over, like, ball, please. Now, we do not get involved in any of the plays. We can't influence any of the plays. It's the same
Right.
reason why there was that issue with the ball boy giving the ball directly to a player.
Yeah.
Um,
hmm
that was established during the COVID era for hand to hand contact. but was kind of just implemented as a don't interrupt the flow of play. So while making eye contact with this goalkeeper, I kind of just dropped the ball where I was at and went and sat in my chair. And I received a little bit of applause behind me, about a few hundred people, which was cool. I was like, oh, like, stop, come on. It's cool. That must have made him so angry that he went and grabbed the other ball, restarted the play very quickly, booted it more than halfway up the field, and that's when Messi's breakaway scored. And while I was going like this, waving back to the fans, Messi scored. I was like, did I do this?
Oh.
Oh no. No, we were watching in Vermont, and I was like, it was the weirdest restart. I remember that because remember we were watching. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Huh? I'm like, oh, and then of
He
course
took
they
it so quick. He was so
I
mad
know,
that he
it's
said,
like-
screw this, and ran over, got another ball. I was like,
My
I was just
goodness.
doing my job, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, I appreciate you sharing it. That now puts a lot of context into situations.
Yeah.
But that's wild.
Yeah, it is.
That is really wild.
Yeah. So what are you looking forward to the most with this Union team in 2024?
Looking forward to most. Funny enough, on our show Views from the Bridge, I kind of made a call to Union fans of this year to maybe, in a lighter sense of the term, take the year off. And in regards to that, I mean, it's going to be a really trying year for this Philadelphia team. There is a lot of the staleness floating around the club right now from a direction, like progressive perspective, where the team's going.
Mhm.
Um, you have the issue with Kai, with a lot of people saying that they will not support this team if he is still on it, and there's no amends made or apologies given or explanation provided. And I just feel like it's going to be a lot of mental gymnastics for Union fans to kind of get their priorities right with what this season's going to be about. So I don't really think I'm going to go in with any real expectation, because with how similar this Union team is,
Mhm.
I feel like it's just going to be a little bit different. I feel like they kind of will have to try something different. And
Mhm.
if they don't, they're going to see that it's not sustainable at this moment, and things kind of have to move in a different direction. But the thing I'm like most excited for, I guess, is to see Daniel Gazdag score 10 plus goals, not from penalties. Because I think that is going to happen. I think a lot of people don't give him credit, and he really is, like, he's a baller. And
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
we couldn't dream of a guy like this on this team when this club was beginning. He is a baller, and he is owed that credit to an extent because he's approaching a goal record, man. I don't care what you want to say.
Yeah.
He's directly responsible for a lot of the growth and progress on this team.
Mhm.
And I feel like he's got a lot to give this season. This might be his best season, and that's really hard to say considering he's had two really good ones
Right.
in blue. So
Yes.
that's what I'm looking forward to most. None of the new guys, like Ty Baribo might be fun now that he's had a full preseason. Yeah, I mean, it's not. What can we say about these guys? They're the same guys, right? No
They
one,
are.
Yeah.
from all things that we've gathered so far in the offseason and preseason, it seems like everyone's pretty much ready for the task at hand. And the only thing you have to assess is, are these new younger kids ready for the step
Mhm.
up? So
Right.
it's like, all right, well, we'll see when we see.
Yeah.
We will. And I think that's kind of where we are. I still kind of am an optimist, but a very even keel optimist where I still know what this team offensively and defensively is capable of. I do agree that maybe we need the league. I also, and I've said this many times, I think the league's figured out some of the nuances of Curtin and
Mhm.
this
I think that's some
team.
of it. Yeah.
So I do think there's gonna have to be tactical flexibility. It's gonna be up to Jim to kind of start to figure out what that tactical flexibility looks like. Because he certainly doesn't show it all the time, but then sometimes he does, and he looks like a genius, and then other times he does the messy thing.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see, continued progress from guys like Jesus Bueno,
Yeah.
Jack McGlynn, Quinn Sullivan, like see what these guys can do. Will Rafa get any time? These guys, these young guys that are really up and coming. And especially like for me, one of the brightest spots was Bueno last year.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness. That and I am hoping for another Brujo banger or two. That was super fun.
But
Yeah.
but kind of like you, it's kind of like, all right, just gonna go in and watch, no expectations. We'll see how the rest of this transfer window plays out. But I think we're gonna have a development period this window. I think we're bringing a lot of guys to develop. So that's kind of
Yeah,
what
and I would love to be proven wrong. I would love
Yeah.
for the model of an MLS franchise to be successful is to be stable and to know how to
Yes.
operate with each other, keeping a core in place and not having to play too many games in too many different locations.
right.
Philly's already kind of screwed in that regard, but they're not totally screwed in their travel, what they have to do. You could be Miami and have to
Oh my
travel the globe
goodness.
for 24,000 miles and have none of those games matter. Like a long,
Right?
like 10-hour marathon of whose line is it anyway? And nothing matters at the end of it. And you ate a bunch of chips. So, like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
I hear.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, like with Bueno too, like that is going to be exciting. There's really no reason why he shouldn't even progress further because a lot of his things were just positional. Kind of like once he works into that formation as, if he's going to be the shuttler, so be it.
Mhm.
Put him aside and keep him there. Like let
Right.
him learn who his fullback's going to be next to him. They make these kinds of runs. Carranza's going to be the one to check back on the press. Uro's going to be the one on the other side if he's there that's going to make the run in behind. Like it's let him learn that way. And it's like, let me learn how to play one way and see if I'm really good at that. Because he's still young enough that if you imprint it on
Right.
him, that could be his thing for years to come.
Yeah.
It really could. And I think that's one of the things I'm excited to see how Jack McGlynn continues to develop because I don't know how much longer he's there. He could be there longer, but I'm excited to see what he on the other side. I'd love to see, those are my two exciting people this year so far.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'd love to see McGlynn like I'm biased, but I'd love to see him like go to Roma or something and this new kind of developmental period. Now Mourinho's gone. Like my Italian club is Roma, and I feel like a weight is lifted off my shoulder as a former a Chelsea fan that used to root for Mourinho and a Chelsea fan who has gone, please go away and don't come back, please, just for our sake. Now he's gone from Italy. De Rossi's going to be there kind of leading a new charge at Roma. And I feel like him getting that physical experience and having the ability to ping balls over the top would work so well with those attackers. But I'll take Jack for another year. I think we'd be honored to have him for another year, if we're lucky. So
Yes, absolutely.
it's going to be either way. It's going to be an exciting year, and like you, we look forward to the Union. I mean, it's nothing better. So it's going to be a fun time coming up.
Yeah, can't wait to be freezing our butts off in like a month.
Right. So thanks again for coming on today. And before we get out of here, where can people find you and anything you got coming up? You want to share?
yeah, you can find me on most social medias at Catrino93. Catrino 93. My soccer number is 80, but for some reason I'll always do 93. I'm not changing it. I had someone when I made a jersey a few years ago say, he's like, why is it not number 93? And I was like, I guess I never really thought about that, but I'm not going to change my email or my usernames or by anything. I'm more than a social media presence. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can find me all there, and I'll post stupid videos of myself in a Ken outfit for sporting serotonin. If you gonna go watch me be dumb on a soccer field, you can go
That's
to
awesome.
any of Serotonin's accounts, sporting serotonin. We have mic'd up segments, we have game footage, we have social events, we have any fundraisers that we've done for mental health organizations, and a lot more coming up on the horizon there that we're very much looking forward to. And if you like union content and you haven't listened to Views from the Bridge, you might like us. We're not for everyone. That's why we brand ourselves as your second favorite behind like that other one that you listen to. You know, like it's up there, you'll get to it. But we love having people on too. And it's a good time. We have a really good world here in Philly Union soccer media.
We really
Yes,
do.
we do.
So definitely check them out because it is a fun episode. I've listened to them, you guys a lot. So it's a fun time. It's a fun time. I can definitely say that.
For sure.
So that's all the time for this episode of the One Team We Agree On.
Yep. And if you don't already follow us, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you can find podcasts, you'll find us there.
Until next time, I'm Kyle,
I'm Jillian.
and we'll see you at the game.